Okay, Nazar, I think we are live. So just wanted to thank everybody that made time to come out today. I know this is here on the East Coast, lunchtime. So appreciate you taking time out of your lunch to join us. I think you'll enjoy this conversation. My name is Carlos Fernandes, and I'm joined by Nazar Tymoshyk. And we're very excited to be here. We want to have a meaningful dialogue today. We're going to be just sharing with you, based on our experience, some simple strategies that I think that folks are dealing with today in today's complex geopolitical and technologically rich environments. And so we're looking forward to sharing some things with you. So yeah, we can go ahead to the next slide. So here's what, just to kind of lay things out as an agenda, we're going to do a brief introduction. I'm going to just give you a little background about myself. Then I'm going to ask Nazar to do the same. Then we'll talk about, SMBs and understanding risks associated with the small, medium-sized businesses. Then we'll go into hacking tactics and protection strategies. I'm going to lean on Nazar to talk about some of that. Then we'll discuss cybersecurity and compliance. Then supercharging growth efforts through cybersecurity for those companies that are maybe small, medium-sized, but they have ambitions to grow beyond that. We'll discuss some of those and why cybersecurity is important within those environments. And then we'll get into some Q&A. And at any time, you can post some questions as you think about them as we're going through this presentation. Very happy to use the chat there and post your questions, and then we'll get to them at the end. So about the speakers, I'll go ahead and let Nazar just share a little bit about himself, if you don't mind, Nazar.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Carlos, for being with us. Great to see our colleagues from the United Kingdom. I'm a founder and CEO of Founder Defense. My background is in application security, offensive security, ethical hacking. And when I was working in that direction, I actually learned why companies get breached and what is the root cause of the many security problems. Nowadays, Under Defense is a cybersecurity platform which is enabler for small, medium businesses through our Maxi platform. And I would be happy to present today the technical side, how small, medium businesses can utilize things like MDR, things like compliance, to actually make security not just a cost center, but the growth center, the enabler.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Appreciate that, Nazar. So as far as myself, I spent my whole adult life focused on what we now call cybersecurity. Started out as an Air Force intelligence officer. By the way, let me just stop here for a second and wish everybody a happy Memorial Day. I know there's probably a lot of folks that are currently serving or maybe have served in the military. So I just want to thank you for your service. Also, I know we take out the weekend here in the United States to celebrate Memorial Day, and really what we do is to honor and mourn those fallen service members that have died in service to our country. So just thank you all for your service. As far as my background, I spent a good portion of the early part of my career as an Air Force intelligence officer, supporting both the Department of Defense and the intelligence community after I served in uniform. And then in 2012, at the advice and counsel of some of our trusted relationships, I stood up ACS. I'm the founder and CEO of ACS. And we are a vendor agnostic, product agnostic deliverer of elite cybersecurity services. We deploy what we call cyber SEALs through the ACS Cyber SEAL program. And so some of the services that we offer, virtual CISO, in the traditional penetration testing, vulnerability assessments. And We also have a whole team of folks that handle classified programs that we won't be talking about here today, because this presentation is more focused on the commercial business that we focus on, and specifically the small to medium-sized businesses that we are interested in supporting, and more of an education here today for those small to medium-sized businesses. We found that many of the small to medium-sized businesses are the weakest link in our security ecosystem, and so we want to make sure that we spend time working with the small and medium-sized businesses. And this is one of the reasons why I'm excited about being here with Nazar and sharing a few thoughts with you. Next slide. Nazar, share a little bit. I know you already shared a little bit, but maybe if there's something else you want to share about the specific about Under the Fence and why you're so excited about what we're doing together. And there's a lot going on right now with all the geopolitical issues. I know some of the things that we're involved with that are more sensitive, we're not going to be able to talk about here, but we'll share as much as we can from a DoD and other environments. But Nazar, did you want to share a little bit more about Under the Fence?
Thank you, Carlos. We were fortunate to serve from the beginning of our company foundation. We were fortunate to serve quite a big organization. But when we were growing, we learned that many of their suppliers, many businesses don't have a place where they can get the help from, and that's why when we were developing our detection response business, acting as incident responders and first responders, we learned that companies very often don't have resources, skills, and things like that. We were trying to transfer this expertise from serving big enterprise organization to take to pick up the practices that will definitely work effectively for smaller businesses. So now we are proud to be selected as #1 as a managed SIEM provider by Comparitech, and Under the Defense team year over year participate on the Boss of the SOC competition, which is the biggest defenders online captures the flag battle between defenders to be able to catch the threat, identify the root cause of the breach, and respond to the incidents quickly. So our specialization is in a SIEM, source, EDRs, XDRs, and hunting the threats, responding to the incidents.
Fantastic. So next, let's spend a few minutes talking about why what we're doing is so important within the context of the small to medium-sized business community. One of the things that a lot of small medium-sized businesses are dealing with is lack of personnel that hinders their ability to oftentimes put the level of cybersecurity that they need. So that is a common complex situation that everybody's dealing with, and not only small and medium-sized businesses, but overall. So next slide. And then you've got all of these, it's a funny video there, but you've got all of these threats of different sizes and shapes, and the organizations today, especially the smaller organizations, are being asked to do so much with so little resources. So that's one of the reasons why it's so important to have trusted relationships that you could leverage to expand your team so that you can be able to do the things that you need to have done from a cybersecurity perspective with the limited resources that you have to work with. So, and then we talk about, the different issues that companies are dealing with, and ransomware is really top of mind for most organizations. So this kind of gives you an idea of what's been happening since 2019 in the increases in the severity of ransomware incidents. Next slide. And then, of course, we have, as I mentioned, the folks that are tasked with managing the organization's cybersecurity and protecting their organizations against cyber threats. They're having a really difficult time because there's so much coming at them and so very little resources oftentimes that they have to work with. Next slide. And and then the folks that are in charge, they want everything done yesterday, but there's no budget that's being allocated for it. Next slide. And then you have this poor character here that is having a hard time getting any sleep at night. This is probably some of you guys that are CIOs or CISOs or IT directors that are really having a tough time getting to sleep at night because you know that you don't have the right cybersecurity or right level of cybersecurity in place to have the assurances that you're doing everything that you need to do in order to protect your environment. Next slide. And so then you have, and I'm going to let Nazar talk a little bit about this. Both he and I are in a growing mode. ACS is an 11-year-old company, and we're obviously experiencing some growth because of all of the things going on within the cybersecurity space. So much like many of the SMEs that are here today, you want to understand the needs of your organization depending on where you are on this growth cycle. So Nazar, maybe you can quickly go through this and explain this slide.
Absolutely. So we have done the things that I personally haven't seen before. I was trying to identify what is the typical organization growth maturity, and actually I tried to put on this visual as a thing that is what is their pains and needs a driver for them. When the business just starting, usually we see that primary focus, and you have just 1 to 10 employees. You are very small, you are tiny, you are micro. Very often we see that IT and business owners just need the basic things like O365, like G Suite, like CRM, website, and sometimes VPN. When the company gets the first serious clients, from cybersecurity perspective, they face the first big slap, the first big challenge, because they are asked, hey guys, are you compliant? Do you have a CMMC compliance? Do you have a ISO or SOC? Can you share your policies and procedures? And very often, this kind of compliance issues are blockers for business to win this serious big enterprises they wanted to deal with, because they are becoming a part of ecosystem, becoming a part of supply chain. So this is where they starting to realize, okay, we need to invest into some basic security, because we already have something around 10 to 50 employees. We already started earning money. We need something to protect our endpoints, our computers. We need to get this badge on our papers and pass the gate from the enterprise side compliance officer. Meanwhile, when you're getting more mature, you got your enterprise customers, you really reading the news about your competitors, and you understand that, well, this is my competitors have been breached. There is a risk that I will be next. And we noticed that businesses started to thinking about mitigating the risk, avoiding the risk, transferring the risk. And that's where they really start realizing, all right, we are mid-sized enterprise or mid-sized business. We have obviously our email workspace environment. We have security. We need somebody to educate our people. We need to well, I don't want to say it, but to move from compliance part where we try to fake it oftenly to the real practical cybersecurity where we manage our vulnerabilities when we close our vulnerabilities, patch them, when we securing our employees' workloads, and when we starting thinking about 24/7 security monitoring because we realize that our employees are working 8 per 5. And then one company become a pre-IPO, they already have a huge legacy. They need guidance. They need professional CISO. They need professional IT director, professional consultants who can actually run the audit for them, who can showcase their risks and develop the roadmap to make efficient transformation and preserve all that huge millions of revenue, preserve the business from fines and scandals. And like they buying the themes, they hardening their infrastructure in the cloud and on-prem, and like for like they preserving what was built. And post IPO companies, as we like, it's very often the big headlight in the news. If so, they are trying to avoid it by our PR crisis and keep the stock price high. So they investing into the things like zero trust with DevSecOps, with something like some bigger, better, scalable theme, and ready to things like 24/7 MDR with a big internal security focused on internal transformation rather than dealing with the routines like washing covers. And
Let me interrupt you for just a second, Nazar, and just one of the things that Nazar and I have been brainstorming on with regards to the needs of the small, medium-sized businesses is that this is the typical approach as we saw there that Nazar was mentioning. But one of the things that we want to do and that we've been developing and implementing is that we want to provide what we call here within our client space. Department of Defense and intelligence community grade cybersecurity that we could offer to the small, medium-sized business community at an affordable price because everybody has limitations in their budget. So we want to develop capabilities that are not only accessible to the enterprise level customers, but we want to be able to offer that same level of cybersecurity to small, medium-sized businesses that would not otherwise have access because it's cost prohibitive in most cases. So that's one of the things that Nazar and I spent a lot of time thinking about and talking about is how can we reduce the ability or put our capabilities in such a way that they can be accessible and affordable to the small and medium-sized business community.
And one of the things which me and Carlos learned over the last 2 years is that while big enterprises have bigger budgets for fancy and like solid tool set, engineers, even the dragons like EDRs or themes, we learned that actually, and they're building these walls, they're building this defense in depth, multi-layer protection. Very often they just don't care about the everyone else behind besides the wall, everyone else who live in these houses, who supply the goods and stuff and water to this castle. So all of these things are, and this is also the problem on the vendor side. Most of the vendors, they're running for revenue. They're running for like supplying and equipping the castle with new fancy things. So you see that like all of this, it's what is required by on the different level of maturity models, but by most of elements of this village. but like you need education, you need firewalls, you need multi-factor authentication. But most of the vendors, they focusing on getting money from these guys. Meanwhile, like these guys are staying unprotected, and if you like, and you like, people learn from the history, if they learn from it, that to take over the castle, you first burn the village, or you utilize the people from the village who can sneak into, who knew the castle details and who can sneak into the castle. And protecting the village is also that important, like protecting the castle. So, like what we have seen that, yeah, enterprises have budgets, tools, and dragons. SMBs who are part of supply chain, and like why, like, and we also notice the shift from attacker perspective, that it's way easier to attack the smaller unprotected business who's trying to mature and get this big contract from enterprises, because like they are easier entry point, they are an element of a trust chain, and when smart malicious actors exploit this trust, so they are staying unprotected. They interested in not interesting for vendors. They have some legacy and tools that are disconnected, and so they require this professional guidance. They don't have the where to get this help for. So we see that if, like, typically when you ask customer, it doesn't matter, is it a big enterprise or even a small one, which tools you love, which tools you tested, which tools you wanted to have, which tools you lack. Like there is a plethora of tools available in the market. But the key problem is that, like Gartner pointed the problem that, all of these many tools that businesses acquire and stick to them, they are suffering from, like, they causing this alert fatigue, and like they could, like, causes multiple consoles, and which IT personnel or MSP have to keep open, have to watch, and if it's a MSP mode, they have to watch it across all their customers. And it's about dedicating their time, attention, and eyes on a screen. So we try to, like, re-engineer and select what we believe is like something, the minimal stack where small medium businesses can start. And like there is commercial tools, there is billable, and free tools. As example, KnowBe4 is a great, like, very proven in the battlefield instrument for managed security awareness. 2FA, which is must for every business. If a business don't have a 2FA, it's already, I would say it's the biggest risk for any business owner, and it's the thing that he can quickly and easily pick and ask their MSP, their IT people, how many accounts in our business don't have 2FA in place yet. Because even guys like FireEye and Mandiant, like guys like Microsoft, has been breached because 2FA was not enrolled across all the employees. From the EDR and antivirus, new generation antivirus, we really love to things like SentinelOne and CrowdStrike, because, like, they are simply the best and very reasonable on the market. If we speak about anti-spam, I'm putting here a snapshot for, like, one of customers, but and this is like 5 people shop. But I wanted to showcase here that, like, there is a great things available already, bundled in the solutions most of people buying from Google, from Microsoft. So some of the things are already built in, and you can utilize the very often IT people don't telling you that you can use these feature with the package which you already purchased. So some things like disk encryptions or data loss prevention, you can activate it in your package if you need it. Another thing, which I believe is also critical, is the password manager. So we recommend to use KeePass as a free or OnePassword as a commercial password manager across all organization. If it's a small company, company needs something for managing their device remotely, to manage configuration, to help employees. And if it's, example, a Google stack, you can use things like GAT Plus for auditing if your users are not exposing your sensitive files to external co-workers or collaborators. But it's not about just the tools. It's about like people who can drive the security program for your business. It's about training your people to be aware, to know how to act in a specific situation. I got a question recently. How do you know that this email is secure or no? How should my employees act in this situation? And our answer during the security awareness training was very simple. Like if it's external sender, and you have just a minor percentage of suspicious in that email, send it to SOC, send it to your IT MSP provider, and that's their responsibility to automatically validate if this is phishing, if this is a scam, if this is a malware embedded to this email. And it's about also technologies which are integrated with into the right process. So people process tools is like three element. You can't just buy tools and sleep well, because without people who properly configure it, we have seen so many cases when people were buying brilliant, expensive things like Splunk or CrowdStrike, and they were breached because the things were absolutely misconfigured. So and there was nobody who can point, who can run the audit and point their attention that, hey guys, have you tested this ever in your life cycle? So it's about the balance.
Mm-hmm. Let me interject here, Nazar, real quick. Two things. First, there was a question from Deborah, and she was asking, what are the host views on having cybersecurity outsourced versus in-house? Well, I mean, different folks have different perspectives on this. Should we build it or should we outsource it? But the what most people are coming to terms with is that if the capability is already built and you have a trusted organization that could deliver it, why would you want to build it yourself, other than if you were a Department of Defense or intelligence community entity like many of our clients that have to build much of their capabilities in-house because of the requirements and the sensitivity of the data that they're managing. But other than that, if there are lots of options out there for outsourcing. And so what I always recommend is that you explore your options and determine what makes sense for you and your risk tolerances. The other thing that I wanted to mention about what Nazar just said is that oftentimes you've got organizations that think that the product is going to solve all their problems. And so I believe that Nazar and I agree that the product is the problem. So you don't want to focus on the product. The more we integrate technology into our organizations, into our daily lives, there's a tremendous productivity gains, but there's always this dark side, whereas that technology could then be used against us. So, the goal for us when we go into a client environment is to understand our client's mode of operation. They understand what they've already purchased, because a lot of organizations or companies go in, or vendors go in and want to have the customer um, throw away everything that they've invested in and buy all their new stuff. What
Yeah.
we recommend to our customers is, hey, hold on a second. Before you go out and buy any more technology, let's assess, let's inventory what you already have, and let's help you maximize your existing investment. And like what Nazar was saying, oftentimes it's tuning the technology to do what it was designed to do. And sometimes the folks that are being asked to do that, they're just not qualified to do it. Therefore, that's one benefit of having an organization that you can bring in consultants to help you to do that, because that provides you with a different level of expertise versus what you may or may not have in-house. So, Deborah, I hope I answered your question. Nazar, back to you.
Terrific answer, Carlos. Thank you. One of the things which I have to mention, we face it many times. Some kind of, I would say, like not like ignorance, but too much self-confidence on a technology business side, where they were like really hoping for tools. They putting the big hope there, and they like putting the responsibility for security for the DevOps guys, which is okay but risky, because like DevOps guys, they have their knowledge, experience, and role and responsibility. They are not cybersecurity experts. So like just buying tools is not like the rescue and cure for a problem, because problem is about the establishing the process which will be agile, lightweight, and customized for your business, or like which will help you to utilize security as an enabler for getting the clients you want. Because the clients you want, they want their suppliers to be trustworthy, and to like they want them to quickly demonstrate that yes, they have all these three things in place. Every auditor, every like compliance manager, risk manager for a big enterprise will ask SMEs, SMBs about the practical evidences for the things that they have from a cybersecurity perspective. So I tried to visualize here a very quick like transformation program, which is vital. Very often it's stuck on a customer end because there are delays, and like very often customers can't like make an effort and make this transformation in 30 days. But this is like what I believe can fit into the quick 30 days plan for really small, medium sized businesses. Now, one of the things first is to like understand your gaps, understand your current state, understand what your IT and MSP are missing, what they don't see, what they don't understand, where they putting you as a business or business owner or IT director or VP of engineering, when they are putting you at risk. And like those kinds of like reviewing technical documentation, project planning, communication channel, and building the snapshot of current state. Because if you investing, you start investing into cybersecurity, you wanted to see, okay, I started here and I reached the maturity level 1, as example, if we speak about CMMC. And you, like and this is the evidences that I am already here. To reach the next summit, I need to implement ABCD. And as example, protecting the endpoints and deploying the EDR, deploying the new gen antivirus, connecting the stack you already purchased, and generating like sensors, deploying the sensors across your network. It's not that hard, if you need the help doing it, you can ask your employees to deploy the sensors. You can ask your IT team to do it across organization, or you can ask a vendor, an MDR provider or MSP provider, to connect to console like ConnectWise or Ninja RMM and deploy this protection software across all your endpoints. If you don't have something to deploy some of the security tools across your endpoints, well, you would need the things like mobile device management. And like one of the things which we recommend is a tool from IBM. Or if you are on Windows stack, you can try to utilize Google Workspace. They have built-in like very lightweight, but still the mobile device management in place. One of the things that very often we see across small medium businesses, they believe that when they are on O365 and G Suite, they are protected against these threats. And unfortunately, it's not true. It's not the case. Email is a vector. It's an entry point. Very often, it's an entry point for phishing. And it's not about just sending them malware, which like some untrained, like unqualified employee will just double click. It's about the phishing of websites where people are entering their 2FA, and both like O365 and G Suite are vulnerable to this kind of attacks. With time, because every year a new trick, a new campaign, a new like misconfiguration is in place. If you decided to start your business and like be a cloud native from day one, you would need also to protect your cloud, because AWS or Azure or G Suite, they're protecting the basic infrastructure, but everything on top of this infrastructure, it is on the responsibility of the customer. And if you deploy any tools, one of the key things that every IT leader have to do is to test, to run some simulation, to send malware via email, and to test if it works. The next steps, having a protect, because endpoints are like in 90% of cases it's the entry point. Phishing is very often an entry point to the endpoints through the email or just through LinkedIn or social networks. I bet many of you have noticed how even LinkedIn transforms the way if you send the link to somebody in LinkedIn message, they putting you on a page where they clearly state, hey, watch out, you are redirected to a third-party resource. Do you really confirm that you trust this link and you know what you are doing? So it's what vendors like trying to do, but the base is still quite low. So our recommendation is to, like, after completing this step, to look again to your external perimeter, to look again to your internal perimeter. Very often in your internal perimeter, you may find out like things like vulnerable printers or like VPN without 2FA in place. If you don't have a 2FA in place, again, it's a risk. Enforcement of 2FA everywhere, it's a must for any business. Your IT can do it, your MSP can do it, or your virtual CISO can do it for you, or like you'll get a lot of alerts and like red alerts about from your MDR vendor, that MDR is Managed Detection Response, your SOC. The people who watch your back in 24/7, that hey, we have these risky users who can put the whole business into the danger situation. Carlos, maybe you can emphasize more about like preparing the resiliency and trainings for C-level and employees.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I do that, let me just answer a couple of questions that came in. João and Ina, I believe, they were asking about, regardless of the size of the company, even though it has all security in the world, the worker will be the easiest target. So they're wanting me to, or you to talk about how the insider threat. And I agree with that. It's that this is the one um, uh, vulnerability that's very difficult to overcome because human beings are unpredictable. So, but when you have a capability or suite of capabilities where you combine, um, people, technology and processes like we talked about earlier, that minimizes that attack surface, whether it be coming from the inside in or from the inside out as an enabler. Um, so there's another one here from Bodan. I would like to know if doing security reviews on a project solution basis is a good enough alternative to 24/7 engagement with cybersec agencies. I don't believe so. I think that a lot of organizations now are recognizing that doing just regular assessments or penetration testing, although many organizations have a legal regulatory compliance requirement to do those, I don't believe that it's enough. I think that it provides organizations with a false sense of security because there's gaps, and usually the things that happen within those gaps. I mean, when somebody is doing the assessment or doing the penetration test, obviously they've got eyes on the network and they could identify things that are going on in anomalous behaviors. But when they leave, what are you doing in between these assessments? What are you doing in between these penetration tests? So the only way to really understand what's going on in your network in near real time is to have some sort of a 24/7 capability. And most small, medium-sized businesses, and maybe that's why Bodan asked this question, most small, medium-sized businesses don't think they could afford it. But there are things that can be done to make it more affordable. And that's one of the things that, as I mentioned earlier, that Nazar and I are very um, uh, motivated to do, to create opportunities for the small, medium-sized businesses to fill those gaps. Now, there's another question here. I don't know if it's the same, Deborah. It says, in the UK, we have cybersecurity essentials accreditation. How do the hosts help companies keep updated on this fast-moving sector? So essentials accreditation. I'm not sure. Did you want to try to answer that?
Yes, I can handle it. But let me also cover a bit a question which Botan escalated. Like there is the problem with cybersecurity and like overall in attack is that very often people come and go, and when they come and go, the new people who are joining the business, the crew, it's a very common case for small medium businesses um, um, like the like the persistency and the organization knowledge is not that solid because small medium businesses, they don't have this very great practice of keeping their documents, documentations about the how things works in place. And when new people are coming, they are very often like breaking everything and putting the things that are more familiar for them.
Yeah.
I know also the cases when very big, huge IT outsourcing companies were breached,
Mhm.
not because they have a regular audit, they have a great team, they have a regular audit. The things that they were missing was 24/7 professional 24/7 security monitoring from people who knew what they were doing. We have seen also another case for like quite a bigger organization in Europe who had like 10 people in their IT security, all OSCP, OSCE certified. They have the prod and corp, and they were watching their corp, and we were watching their prod environment. And they got breached through the corp environment because they were responsible for it during the Christmas, because there was nobody to watch that environment that time. They were compromised through the support team, because like these users were focused on helping their customers to deal with some issues. So if we speak about the compliance and regulatory, most of them require you two major things: to have logs, to have the track of records of the events that were going on with the IT system. And the second thing is to have somebody who will watch at these logs and like know what to do with with alert if there is a really critical incident going on in the network. What I see as also a big problem, it's not just to like meet the compliance regulatory requirements. It's about having the ally who will be ready to jump in and respond to incidents with you if your house will start getting apart because of fire. And it's about the very often we see the moment when customer is staying alone when when we reported them as incident, and they ask not their IT, not their MSP, to actually join the response and help them with response, because they don't have this professional team to actually deal with it. So it's not just the detecting that the problem exists, it's about the process of dealing with the incident, responding to it, curing the problem.
Let me interject on that as well, because this is an area that's I'm very passionate about, and I've seen that there's many organizations that are, or companies that are providing MDR or XDR solutions, I believe, are failing in this one area. You know, it seems like everybody is doing a pretty good job at um, detection. You know, you can do a pretty good job at detecting that something's not quite right. But where most are failing is in the response part, because that's the hard part. Oftentimes people think that it's acceptable to respond in days, weeks, months. Well, if you are of that mindset, that's unacceptable, in my opinion. See, one of the things that we spend a lot of time thinking about is responding in minutes, in hours, versus longer than that. And so, and I'm going to make this available to anybody that reaches out to me afterwards. But I've got 3 different documents here in front of me. One that I put together as a combination of different articles that I've looked at, and I call it 5 ways today's MDR and XDR solutions may be failing you. And then it kind of explains, some areas that are in desperate need of improvement, and some of the things that Nazar and I are working on to bring a more complete solution to the marketplace. The other one that I put together is, just a general understanding of what is cybersecurity and why does it matter. And just to give you some, many of the things that we talked about here today are highlighted. For example, cybercrime is rising. The importance of protecting data, economic costs, passwords, protecting your passwords, phishing attempts, install antivirus software, and phishing, malware, ransomware, social engineering, and then less common but very dangerous attacks, the distributed denial of service attacks, and advanced persistent threats, and then finally, and certainly not I leave it for last because this is the one that's hardest to deal with, and that's the insider threat. So this document kind of goes over much of that. So if you guys want to have access to that, I'll be happy to make it available to you. All you have to do is just reach out to me, and I'll send it to you. But anyway, back to you, Nazar. Oh, let me see. There's another question here. The question was about how do we help our customers with their legal, regulatory, and compliance requirements and their accreditation requirements. Well, right now, there's a lot of talk about, for example, PCI DSS 4.0. The credit card industry is now requiring that companies that do credit card transactions to update to 4.0, and that needs to be done for most companies by the end of 2024, and some that are more complex will be given the opportunity maybe a year beyond that, with under certain circumstances and with certain special needs. But those are areas that when we go into an organization, we provide virtual CISO services, and we have subject matter expertise in many of those areas. Both Nazar and I have done a lot of work in this area. I personally have worked with many U.S. organizations, standards bodies, just to name one person that most people know about, and I've had the honor of working with him over the years, Dr. Ron Ross at NIST and the National Institute of Standards and Technology. We have many members of our team that at different stages of their career have either authored, co-authored, or contributed through many of those special publications. So including the one that's being talked about right now here in the United States a lot, which is this whole concept of Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, CMMC, and in this special publication, 800-171. And so all of those are areas that we have expertise in. Now, outside of the United States, in the UK and other, we have teammates that are in those areas. And I'm going to be spending some time in Europe later this year, becoming more familiar with many of the legal, regulatory, and compliance requirements in the European Union. And we have made a commitment to be more proactive in that part of the world as well. And I know Nazar and I have talked about this. So where do we go now, Nazar? I think we got about 7 minutes left.
I would appreciate having more questions from our audience. But what I wanted to add something that you really, Robert, really great. Like there was a question about the NIST and Cyber Essentials. Like all NIST and Cyber Essentials are terrific methodologies and requirements and guidelines, which somebody have to take and then like implement on practice.
Right.
And what most of the small, medium businesses don't know is where to start, who should take this, guidance, these requirements, the standards, and then put it in place. So, and this is where Under Defense is partnering with ACS to make it real. ACS have a tremendous team of like highly educated professional, like many years of experience, virtual CISO team, people who doing a pen test, who can really like assess, evaluate, and draw the transformational roadmap for any size organization. And meanwhile, we supplementing the technology and MDR as a 24/7 SOC, threat intelligence, threat hunting capabilities, which enable organization and virtual CISO to do business smarter, to not hire like huge internal IT security people, because in 2022 and 2023 with recession in economy, it's like it's hard to find and spend budget and have security as a cost center. It's way more reasonable to use it as a like trust builder, as a profit center to get the compliance, but not spending that much because you're using a trustworthy partner who can build it quickly and easily, professionally for you. So that's why I was talking about the people process tools. You build like security is like you build it once, and if you have the right partners, you can keep it on a level, and like everyone will be happy. Your customers, your business owners, and the people whose data you are trying to protect in IT.
Now, there's another question that came in from Chris. He wants to know what our view is on cyber insurance. I haven't talked to Nazar about this, but I can give you my view, and then he can give you his view. But from my perspective, I have insurance on different things, and usually the way I look at insurance is more for, a catastrophe, something that is unexpected. A lot of people, though, today, and the cyber security insurance business is very new, and many organizations are still learning, and many of them have gotten out of that business. I just not too many months ago, I was with a senior executive at Zurich Insurance in Europe, talking about this very subject, and they decided that they were going to get out of the cyber insurance business because it was not profitable. And apparently many organizations are realizing that they can't make it work because there's so many organizations are using cyber insurance as cybersecurity. Oh, we'll just, we have cybersecurity insurance, so we don't need to do anything else. And if something happens, we'll just talk to our cyber insurance company and have them help us. So that, I think, is the wrong approach. If you're doing all the other things and you still want to put cybersecurity insurance in place, I think that's probably wise to do. But to use cybersecurity insurance as the way to protect yourself from the advanced and persistent threats that we're dealing with, it's probably not a good idea, and it's not sustainable. Cybersecurity insurance companies cannot sustain that model.
I wanted to add something on top of it as well. Like nowadays, what I see across the market and customers, cyber insurance is a required element of like dealing and signing the enterprise contracts. But the trick is, it's like with the cancer. Like insurance is must. But what is better? To like have a healthy life, to focus on let's say pre-breach activities, to like preparing organization, to doing everything to avoid the cancer, like to live the like healthy life, to do sport, to do whatever you can to like be healthy, right? Rather than like paying insurance to like treat you when you got it. But one thing I would remember on this side of the coin, like it is about pain, it is about the reputation loss. Of course, like cyber insurance will like send you like somebody who will try to help you, but for them you are just a client. You will like they expect that insurance will pay them for treating you, and they are interested to take the more clients they can, the better. So like they're interested in not in quality of recovering you after cancer, they are interested in a quantity. So proactiveness in everything in our life is the key to success.
Yeah, very good, excellent. There's one other question here, and then I think we're gonna run out of time. I don't know what happens when it gets to an hour, but we may be turned off here. But with regards to this question, as far as security awareness, how do we track and record for employees? Oftentimes, I'll just make this really brief. Oftentimes, folks use security awareness for the wrong reasons to maybe reach out to their employees and shame them. I think that that's the wrong approach. I think that security awareness should be used as a training tool. If you're monitoring activities of your employees, and they do something wrong, you should use that as a learning opportunity, not to shame them. So I'll leave it with that. And any last comments from you, Nazar? I think we're done. I can't hear you. So
my point was like,
oh.
please share with the audience a slogan you have in your signature for ACS. I really like and enjoy it.
Oh, well, there's two. I mean, we are the one that we talk about oftentimes is the whole concept of predict, prevent, and persist versus just responding after the incident occurs. And that's a whole concept of 24/7. But the other one is that we are all part of the same ecosystem, the same global ecosystem. So we are one team with one purpose and with one goal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you, everyone who joined, and thank you, everyone who asked the questions.
Yeah, and we have our emails here as well on this. So if you all want to reach out to us directly, you're welcome to do that, and we would welcome that. So thank you very much.
Hope it was helpful for you. Take care.